Alolan Marowak, Galarian Corsola, Hisuian Zorua and Typhlosion, and Annihilape. Examples of regional variation or evolution causing Pokemon to pass into the afterlife. So what if more Pokemon became ghosts? Hey everyone, Brandon here. It's spooky season, so that means it's time to talk about some spooky Pokemon. Let's start off with something classically spooky thanks to Artworks 218. Here's Fabian Woobat, which is a ghost flying type. Obviously, this little guy is based on vampire bats. Its dex entry states that it only comes out at night and will attempt to drink the life energy of Pokemon and humans alike. If Woobat has absorbed enough life energy, aka used Leech Life 20 times, it will evolve into Nosfrubat, the vampire Pokemon. While this Pokemon might look fearsome, it is actually not as big as it seems, using its wings to make its lower body look elongated. It also doesn't seem to have the same appetite for life force and much prefers berries. Obviously, with this Pokemon's category and name, it is based on actual vampires, Dracula, and Nosferatu. Next, we have some creepy crawlies from Oppo Fakemon. So here is Medizian Kricketune, a bug ghost type. Kricketune in the Metas region tuned their musical abilities around graveyards, and the spiritual energy around them turned them into ghost types. They also have a new evolution. At level 40 during the nighttime, Kricketune can evolve into Krickemarch, the funeral Pokemon. It is said that Krickemarch will compose a beautiful, heartbreaking piece when their beloved trainer passes away. When they form a choir with Kricketune, they make even the spirits cry. Speaking of crying spirits, let's move on to Cadian Meowth, the stray Pokemon, a pure ghost type from Cadia Dex. These Meowth came to be because of the urbanization of the Cadia region. They were unable to adapt and survive off the scraps they were left with. They wandered the streets at night, still looking for food to fill their phantasmic bellies. Their spirits haunt cities as they hold a grudge against the humans that took over their habitat. And you can prevent the evil combots from taking over our natural habitat with today's sponsor, Lynked Banner of the Spark. In Lynked, you play as one of the last survivors of humanity. You must form alliances with the robot resistance to defend against the world-dominating combots. Befriend cute and quirky robot allies, learn their stories, and discover more about the mysterious team of bots known as the Banner of the Spark. The gameplay is an interesting mix of hack-and-slash combat with a variety of weapon classes to use, alongside town-building mechanics and activities, such as fishing, farming, and gathering materials, unlocking meaningful upgrades and expanding your town along the way, all while playing along with your friends. Lynked is currently in early access on Steam, and it is 10% off until October 27th, so make sure to go get the game by clicking the link in the description now. Sponsors like this really help support myself and the artists I work with, so thank you so much to Lynked Banner of the Spark for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to it. At level 28 during the night, Meowth evolves into Purrsoul, a ghost poison type. This Pokemon wanders the empty alleyways constantly looking for food. The coin on its head has fallen off, revealing a third eye that heightens all of its senses. They will avoid anything that can be seen as a threat. These two are based on stray city cats and Schrodinger's cat, the concept that a cat could be both alive and deceased at the same time when unobserved in a closed box, as you can't be certain which it is without opening it. And if you want to be certain you see more of my videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like, and leave a comment down below. For something a little bit more object-oriented, from Luxray Draw Stuff we have Horacian Nosepass and Lanzopass. They are based on statues of the San Agustin Archaeological Site, which is the world's largest necropolis, the tenon heads, stone carvings of heads that were inserted into the walls of ancient Peruvian temples, and the Lenzon, a granite stela that was an important religious sculpture to the Chavan people of Peru, and was believed to connect to the supernatural through shamanistic rituals. Nosepass in this region were revered and used as a spiritual conduit. Over time, its stone body absorbed the spiritual energy of the rituals performed around it. It now roams ancient ruins and burial sites, forever bound to the memories of the past. Lanzopass now guard and protect the ancient ruins and temples, making sure no one taints or ruins the histories of its people. Here on the channel, we have also made quite a few ghost forms for Pokemon, like the Wooper and Wormadam forms from our Of Every Type series, Devarian Breloom and Zangoose from our Devar region series, and Unova Lucario from our regional forms for past regions video. Make sure to check all those videos out. And now we move on to some ghoulish Pokemon I worked with Fungusmon to make just for this video. Which, by the way, if you want to help me support the artists I work with, become a member. You get great benefits like seeing videos early, a shout out at the end of my videos, and the Art Mage tier directly funds for one Fakemon a month that you are credited for and receive a high quality image of. So join today, it really makes a difference. So first up, I wanted to make a Pokemon like Annihilape, an evolution to a Pokemon from a previous generation that turned into a ghost based off of a dex entry. So my choice for this was Spoink. It has the very notoriously creepy dex entry that says it has to keep bouncing as it pumps blood to its heart, and if it stops bouncing, its heart will stop. So what would it look like if that happened? Well, a Spoink whose bounce was interrupted or halted for whatever reason will evolve into Oinkers, the bounceless Pokemon, a psychic ghost type. Oinkers is based on a mythical pig yokai called the Katakirawa, which comes from the Amami Islands of Kyushu, which is actually what Pacific Log town of Hoenn is based on. This yokai looks like a black pig with one ear, which you can see one of Oinkers' ears is replaced by a pearl to reference this. The yokai was also capable of stealing your soul by flying between your legs, which would manifest in Oinkers' new move, Soul Snatch, which steals the stat boosts of an opposing Pokemon, like a less powerful Spectral Thief. I would also give Oinkers Baton Pass, which could be a truly devastating combo. The first Oinkers was said to be discovered by a trainer who wanted to hug their beloved Spoink so badly they ignored the rule about not picking them up. The Oinkers that was born of that mistake went on to haunt that trainer, and it is rumored that one day it claimed their very soul. The next couple Pokemon are actually an extension of a previously established group of Pokemon, the Elemental Monkeys. So without further ado, allow me to introduce Purrsoul, the Spirit Pokemon, a pure ghost type. As we know, the original trio are based on the three wise monkeys that represent Iwazaru, or Speak No Evil, Kikazaru, or Hear No Evil, and Mizaru, or See No Evil, respectively. Well, there is actually a fourth wise monkey in some tellings, Seizaru, which represents Do No Evil, which you can see that Purrsoul has its hands behind its back to refer to this. It actually also has design elements taken from the original trio that were slightly altered. The hair of Pansear, the chest fur of Panpour, and the tail of Pansage. While I know there is an argument to be made for this being represented by the dark type, it is quite literally the evil type in Japanese, and the whole point of Seizaru is do no evil, so I thought the ghost type would fit the prompt, and honestly, this video better. When given a Dusk Stone, Purrsoul evolves into Simisoul, the Phantom Pokemon. The other Simis seem to have a mutual theme of different lifestyle/fashion trends going on. Simisage is Japanese delinquent culture, aka Yankee, Simipour is hippie culture, and Simisear is, well, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, given Simisage's style comes from the 50s and 60s, and Simipour's style comes from the 70s and 80s, maybe Simisear is based on 90s/early 2000s fashion? I mean, the curly hair is definitely evocative of the ramen heads of the time. Anyway, Simisoul is based on the goth subculture and fashion, which tend to be associated with the supernatural and occult, given some practice Wicca or paganism, so that fits well with the ghost type. The discovery of Purrsoul and Simisoul has sent shockwaves through Unova, especially so for the triplets, Chili, Cress, and Silent of the Striaton City Gym, who are now under investigation for a case from years ago involving the mysterious disappearance of a young girl named Claire. Anyway, Pikachu and now Eevee are the mascots of Pokemon. So what kind of Poketuber would I be if I didn't take the opportunity to ghostify them? So let's start with Eevee, which when given the Gravestone evolves into Scarion, the Deceiver Pokemon, a pure ghost type. Scarion is said to be able to take the form of a human. There is an ancient tale of a Scarion once climbing the ranks of an empire and becoming its ruler, before being revealed to be a Pokemon and immediately exiled. This tale, along with Scarion's appearance, are inspired by two things. First are the Chico, malevolent fox spirits or kitsune, which are basically the opposite of Kiko, which are good kitsune that serve the kami Inari. Scarion does borrow a bit of its coloration from the Kiko, as well as reference albinism, and the generic white coloration ghosts are associated with. The second thing it is based on is Tamamo no Mae, a legendary figure in Japanese mythology that was said to be the most powerful of the Chico. She was said to disguise herself as the consort of multiple kings across China, India, and Japan, fleeing from one empire to the next as they would fall to enemy forces. She was said to have eventually been trapped within a stone called the Seshoseki for hundreds of years. Until March 5th of 2022, when it cracked open, which for sure didn't release a malevolent spirit into the world. Definitely not. Right, guys? What was that? Well, before I'm haunted by an ancient evil, let's talk about the new evolution to Pikachu, which when given the Gravestone evolves into Kawaichu, the Haunted Mouse Pokemon, an electric ghost type. Ha! Not the only electric ghost type anymore there, Rotom. Just like Scarion, Kawaichu is based on a yokai. First is the Kowai, a spirit of a gluttonous person who carries their obsession into the afterlife, which is where it gets part of its name, and is where the word for scary in Japanese comes from. It is also where it gets its plump appearance. That of course acts as a reference to Fat Pikachu as well. The chonky references don't end there, as the second yokai it is based on, the Kodama Nezumi, is rotund as well. These yokai resemble spherical dormice that inhabit the mountain forests of the Tohoku region of Japan. What makes these ghosts special is when the mountain gods were angered, these mice would begin to swell and float into the air like balloons, and eventually explode. The sound of the explosion was said to be louder than a gunshot. This is referenced in both the general shape of Kawaichu being like a balloon, and in its new signature move, Rest in Pieces, which is basically a ghost-type version of self-destruct that also has a chance to leave the target confused. If it lives, that is. The first Kawaichu was said to have come into existence after a Pikachu with the appetite of a famished Munchlax ravaged a countryside, relieving them of all their berries and even human food. It eventually made its way onto a mountain where it became so full that it exploded. Only a mighty Kawaichu remained in its place, who will still, even in the afterlife, try to steal the food of the villages of the mountain, and will zap those who try to take their food back. And those are some ghostly Pokemon. Thanks so much to our incredible members whose names you can see on screen for supporting this channel with their hard-earned money, which you can also do by hitting that join button. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.